So here we are with former light welterweight champion Gavin Rees in New York City. You're here training for your fight with Adrian Broner, WBC lightweight champion. Tell me, you're enjoying this lovely weather we're having in New York. How's training camp going?
Yeah, it's going good. It's been very cold the last week, but what we're going to do about it, we're training hard twice a day. You and my trainer Guy Lockett, we got a good camp out here now for 4 or 5 weeks, so looking forward to it.
So obviously you're coming over here to America, you're fighting Adrian Broner, a highly regarded fighter, but he's human just like everyone else is. Tell me, do you see something in him that the odds makers and a lot of the other people, even the matchmakers, don't see?
Yeah, of course, I'm fully confident in a victory. You know, a massive underdog on the odds, but we don't see it like that. We're coming over here to win. I honestly believe I'm going to win, so let him bring his best fight on the night. Don't think he's a finished article. A lot of people say they're Mayweather wannabe, so we'll prove it on the 16th.
Well, obviously you have a lot of, well, Broner will tell you that he fights different than Mayweather, but obviously watching Mayweather, they have a lot of similarities, and that actually gives you a lot extra tape to watch also, even for that defense. In a way, it's like, because, you know, you're a British fighter coming over to fight an undefeated boxer puncher with a style like Mayweather. Is it almost like you get to play Hatton or so, like coming over and fighting that kind of style?
Well, no, at least I'm going back as the winner, so it'll be a bit different from that. But yeah, I'm ready to bring a fight to him, see what he's got to offer back, and I'm ready.
You know, how many fights have you now been working with Gary Lockett?
About 8, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, 8 is it? 8 fights, yeah. 8 victories, so 1 draw. So
talk to me about some of the things you guys, what he brings to you. Obviously, he has a lot of experience as a former title challenger, and what was it, 35 fights or so, or 40? 32 fights. Oh, close. Tell me about some of the experience that he brings to you, and just what he's added to you as a fighter.
Well, before I come with Guy, I think I was a bit too much rush, 3 fights, 10, stuff like that. He slowed me down with power punching, so got me working behind my jab. I'm a completely different fighter now to what I was when I come here, and for the better.
Now, talk to me about some of the sparring that you get here in New York. Is it different from sparring out in England?
Yeah, back home it's hard to get sparring to compete, to be honest, but yeah, I've been sparring some boys up in God knows where it's from. Up in the Bronx, yeah. We got some good tough kids here in America, so it's been good. Like I say, I've been here 2 weeks now, and everything's going to plan.
Now, did you get it? Because I was on the conference call with Adrian Broner, and he didn't even seem to know your name. What does that tell you about him and his thoughts about this fight?
Well, I think that's just the way he is. He doesn't seem to show no respect for nobody. He just does playing mind games, but you know, just don't bite to it.
Because a lot of people feel he doesn't deserve that #5 ranking with the Ring Magazine's pound for pound listing. But do you feel that maybe he has gotten a bigger head before it's due? Like, obviously a guy like Mayweather is one of the greatest fighters of all time. Broner's still making his name. Do you feel that maybe, you know, he's getting a little bit too big for his britches beforehand?
Yeah, well, hopefully he's underestimating me, and then come 3 weeks time he'll soon know what's like in the ring. As his game let him carry on, doesn't really bother me. We concentrate 100% on him, so I'm looking forward.
So also, you've been a champion, and you did that through an upset, and well, at least what people were thinking was an upset at the time. How has it been since you've been since your title reign has ended? Does that give you like kind of a hunger to return to that former plateau that you were at?
Yeah, of course. I was never really a light welterweight anyway. You know, after I lost the title, I think I was out of the ring for 1.5 years through politics, and then knuckled back down to lightweight. Concentrate with Guy since I've been there, and it's gone from strength to strength. British European champion, and now we're moving on to the next level, the world title.
Obviously fighting at 135, where you don't have such a disadvantage in size. Talk to me a little bit about, first off, the transformation or the transition down 5 pounds, and then how you feel it's affected the way you fight.
Well, I think it's benefited me a hell of a lot. You know, my last couple of fights have all been stoppages. Just goes to show the power coming down. I think I always struggled a little bit at 140 anyway. But even after I lost the title, I won the Prize Fighter Series. That was at 10 stone free, believe it or not, and I struggled to make that. Until I got for Gary, I never really dedicated myself to boxing, you know. always out on a beer, not dieting, living life like a bum really. Just getting by a natural talent. That's what he was doing. But then since I got a guy knuckled down and is proven in the fights.
What does he have to? What does he have to go through your refrigerator and make sure you have oatmeal and healthy stuff and not beer and whatever?
I can do it all myself now. Look, when I was a bit younger, you think your career's gonna last forever, and all of a sudden now I'm 32. I'm on the last chance saloon now, so putting all the effort in and ready to prove a point.
Obviously this is a big challenge because Broner is a highly rated, highly talented fighter. Do you feel that you have to really test yourself? Like you wanted the biggest test out there, because obviously there are other titles at 135 pounds, but this seems to be the big fish. Is it the challenge of knowing you're going to be fighting the guy at 135 pounds that makes you motivated to take this kind of fight?
Yeah, of course, he's probably the biggest name in the lightweight division.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to test myself. I believe the last couple of years I should be at the title level, and I've got a chance to prove it. We was #1 for the WBA. Could have took that route, the easy route, people reckon. But I'm ready to step up to the game and have a fight of my life.
Now I have to ask you, everyone in England and Britain in general, they always come to America and say, well, our beer tastes better. It's, yeah, you have the beer on tap, but we make it differently, we make it better. Assuming that you've been here before and you haven't been cheating during training and sipping on a little beer, can you comment on if there's any difference in the beer here?
Can't say I've noticed, to be honest, no. The bigger portions, that's about it.
Well, you know what they say about us Americans, and bigger portions and everything like that.
Departments.
He's not been allowed to touch beer since he's been here. I've sampled a couple myself, but it is a little bit flat. But if you're going to come to America, you've got to buy it out of a bottle. That's probably the best bit of advice I could give.
Really, bottle? Because a lot of people are saying it's, if you're not drinking it at the draft, you're cheating yourself.
Perhaps I'm choosing the wrong beers then. The beers that I've had, I chose Heineken in a couple of bars, and it's been a little bit flat. But as I said, I've not been on the beer. I just had one or two. I think the first night I was here, but I've been dieting with the boys, so trying to get the belly off.
Hey, you're right. You're still in fighting shape. Are you?
Yeah, I'm still pretty thin.
You could probably make that 154 pounds, where you're probably at your best.
No, probably not. Not anymore.
So actually, I want to ask you something, because you've worked with him in 8 fights, and you guys have been undefeated in 8 fights, working together. Talk to me about Gavin and the work that you guys have done together.
Yeah, I think obviously before he was like a bull out of the gate, and throwing hundreds and hundreds of punches. He was more like a 6-round fighter, but I think the best thing that Gavin's done is just slow himself down and just see what's coming back. Use his jab a little bit more, see what's coming back, and he can see what's coming back, and he can counter punch, and he can set his attacks up a lot better. Obviously his nutrition was a problem, so we got a nutritionist on board. I'm pretty good with my nutrition anyway, but we got a nutritionist on board to educate him properly, and now he does it all himself. So he's done really well. But the main thing, you and I know, I can help him, I can show him what to do, but unless he's 100% dedicated to it, then he's not going to do it. But Gavin's been the one that's done it all himself.
And talk to me a little bit about this matchup here with Adrian Broner. How do you feel this fight goes, and why do you feel your man is the guy to beat Adrian Broner?
Because he's got a style that Adrian Broner's never seen before. Look, don't get me wrong. Adrian Broner's a #1 lightweight in the world. He needs no introduction to any boxing fan. He's fabulous to watch. He looks like a very, very good fighter. But I don't think he's met someone who believes that they can win the fight when they go in. I think half the people are beaten when they get in the ring. And he's faster, bigger, stronger than everybody that he fights. And I think in Gavin Rees he meets a fighter who believes he's going to win the fight and has got the skills to trouble him.
Well, obviously, fighting bigger guys is not going to be anything new for Gavin. Talk to me about his because you said if he doesn't dedicate himself to training, you being in his corner means nothing. It could be anyone in his corner if he doesn't do the work. Talk to me about the work that he's done, and has he had to step it up, because obviously this is a step up from his past more recent opposition.
Yeah, of course. I think obviously there was, when he came to me, there was, I think his training was all over the place, and you know, he wasn't really in the gym. But I think that was probably due to sort of motivational problems. You know, no dates to fight, no real sort of pathway for where his career was leading. But obviously, once he went with Matchroom, then got in with Matchroom, and it was a path laid out to the British title, then to the European title, and then obviously once he'd won the European title and made a couple of defences, then we started thinking bigger things like world titles. And I mean, obviously Avril was the fight that we were going after, but funnily enough the Broner fight came up, you know, in the meantime. So okay, he had to travel away from home to do it, but isn't it better and more satisfying to do it the hard way?
Well, obviously you mentioned Burns. Broner has been in discussions with Burns in the past, and they've even they've said things about each other back and forth. How do you think that if that fight ever happened, how do you think it would go?
I think it's a close fight. You know, Ricky Burns is a good fighter. You know, his trainer Billy Nelson is a very good friend of mine. Gavin and Ricky have done a lot of sparring together. You know, there's boxing politics in Britain. Why Burns and Gavin has never happened, but you know, I don't. You know, there's a lot of people in Britain, the haters on the forums and things like that, believe that Broner would knock Burns and would knock Gavin out in the first round. But you know, I believe you know, the Ricky Burns fight would be a close one, and obviously I believe that my fight is going to beat Adrian Broner. So yeah, they both got a good chance against him.